there, this is Datila with Rangers of Wrestling, bringing you the Wrestling Time Pro Show. And for tonight, I'm reviewing AEW's Fight for the Fallen. Wow, there's so much to talk about, so much happened. But let's talk about Bryan Danielson's big return. So, Bryan Danielson has been out of action since the Anarchy in the Arena match where he suffered a concussion. And this past Saturday at San Diego Comic Con in AEW's first ever panel, Bryan Danielson did announce he was scheduled to return today, and his big return match was against none other than Daniel Garcia. But before I get into it, I just want to say, I was really surprised to find out AEW was going to be at San Diego Comic Con. I really hope that they continue to have a presence at San Diego Comic Con. Yeah, I thought that was really really cool, and hopefully, and I would actually go back to San Diego Comic Con. I went there once in 2017. I totally hated it because it was so crowded, not enough elbow room or leg room. But I did meet Jason David Frank, so that was a plus. But maybe I'll go back, especially if AEW is going to continue having these panels. I definitely would love to check out next year's AEW San Diego Comic Con panel. All right, so let's get into this. So Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia was actually tonight's main event. And so after this, I'm going to review the whole card and then I'll once again talk about it. But I just wanted to talk about this first because I felt like it was a huge talking point. So when the match starts, Bryan immediately goes after Garcia. Like he sent him crashing into the steel ring post and then he gave him a back elbow strike. And at first, Bryan was actually dominating Garcia in this match. Of course, Garcia was able to get some offense in. And he ripped the padding from the floor, exposing the concrete, which he eventually uses to hit a DDT to Bryan Danielson. And that caused Bryan to get busted open. I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know if Bryan was really guard or something, or if he was just really good at selling, but after he landed the missile drop kick, he landed on his head. And it seemed like that really took him out. I really hope Bryan is okay and that he didn't really suffer another concussion or that he didn't get seriously hurt. Like I said, I really hope he was just selling. But so that took him out really. And Garcia bit Bryan on his forehead. And after that, Garcia was able to turn things around. But Bryan also got another offense, and he got the yes kicks in. And I was worried when Garcia put Bryan in the sleeper, but Bryan was able to reverse it. The one other spot that I really liked was when Bryan Danielson did the chicken wing and then the tiger suplex to Garcia. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, here's the thing. There was somebody, which we later find out was Jack Hager, trying to pull Bryan or stop him from going for the pin. And this little distraction allowed Daniel Garcia to put Bryan in the sharpshooter. Now, the one thing I really, really like about this was that instead of tapping out, you had Bryan pass out. Like he passed out to the sharpshooter. Mind you, this was after he landed on his head, after Daniel Garcia bit him. And it was believable. The fact that Bryan passed out instead of tapped out, I really, really like that. I really did. I think it made Bryan look strong and it made Daniel Garcia look strong because he can say he has a victory over Bryan Garcia. And like he had said earlier in the night, he's going to be the greatest technical sports entertainer of all time. So I really like this finish. And wow, I was not expecting Daniel Garcia to beat Bryan Danielson. I really thought that because this was Bryan's big return match, he was going to be victorious. But no, I was wrong. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was a great main event. Really great. And I cannot wait to see what happens after this or where we go from here. But fantastic main event and fantastic way to end Dynamite, if you ask me. All right. But tonight's Fight for the Fallen kicked off with an interim AEW World Title match. It was Rush versus Jon Moxley. Now I have to say, Rush attacked Jon Moxley even before the belt. Like homeboy didn't even get a chance to take off his shirt before Rush attacked him. Rush did the honor for Moxley, made him took the shirt out right off of Moxley. Um, Jose, the assistant, distracted the ref so that Roosh can hit Moxley with the chair. Now, this was an incredible, tense match. Like, there was a slugfest at one point where both men were going back and forth. And at one point, like, Andrade appeared and he shoved Moxley off the top rope. And the Lucha Brothers and Alex Abrahantes came out and they chased away Andrade and Jose, the assistant. And John Moxley ended up being victorious. So it was a great opening contest. I'm surprised that they had Rush lose so quickly in his during so quickly in his AEW tenure. I thought they were going to wait a little bit longer, but I mean, he ended up losing. It was expected for him to lose. There was no way Rush was going to win this match. But what happened after was probably the biggest talking point. So after the match was over, Jericho Appreciation Society comes out. So Angelo Parker says the AEW Galaxy appreciate us, which I feel like was a shot or a jab at Roman Reigns saying, acknowledge me and the whole WWE Universe thing. So I felt that's what that was. Good match from Moxley and Rush. Yeah, definitely, right? How does my mic sound? Does this sound okay? Because this is like borrowed, so I just want to make sure I sound okay. So Jericho basically comes out and he congratulates John Moxley for an amazing match and a great job as interim champion. And he says that doesn't compare to the run that Jericho Appreciation Society has been having. And he goes on to talk about how like Anna Jay, I called him last week for an opportunity and it paid off. Thanks, Michael. So basically, Anna Jay starts talking about how she's Anna J.A.S., the sexiest and the toughest, and she's not afraid to prove it. Basically, saying she's going to choke out everybody. So the whole point of this is that Chris Jericho wants a rematch against John Moxley in 2 weeks at Quake at the Lake, and he says he's going to be the first ever 2-time Le Champion. Anna Jay was cringe, saying how she will choke everyone else. So terrible. Yeah, definitely. I do think that was a little cringe. He said that he beat Eddie Kingston and that he's going to beat Moxley, and that now he's demanding a rematch for the AEW World Title. Then Moxley basically tells him that he hates the sports entertainment bull crap and that he is a 2-time world champion. And he goes on to say that he looked up to Chris Jericho, and in his own way, Chris Jericho is still the GOAT, the magician, Le Champion. But he reiterates the fact that that the AEW World Title isn't a title of sports entertainment. It's a title of wrestling. Anna Jay's going to mock Bianca Belair and say she's a realist. Yeah, that's what I felt that. Like she was like the 2 shots to the WWE. Jericho lose, Moxley's keeping that title until Punk comes back. So basically, yeah, we're gonna get Chris Jericho versus John Moxley too for the AEW World Title, and it's gonna happen at Quake in the Lake. But Moxley basically saying he doesn't want the Wizard, he doesn't want a champion, he doesn't want the King of the Trademark. He wants the guy from Super J Cup. He wants Lionheart. He wants the Lionheart Jericho, the last survivor of the Heart Dungeon. After hearing Anna Jay off cringe, she should have never been handed a mic. Ouch. So if you ask me, I'm actually pretty excited about this. I mean, I think Chris Jericho's right. I don't think he ever got his rematch for the title after he lost it to Moxley. But so, I don't know. Like, I'm torn here. Like, Michael 101-591 says Jericho could lose and then have Moxley versus Punk at All Out for the title. But if you have Jericho beat Moxley, you can do Jericho versus Punk at All Out, face versus heel. Does he want the man of 1,004 hoods, Jericho? Maybe, kind of sounds like it. But okay, so who do you guys think is going to walk out of this? We're going to get Jericho versus Punk or Moxley versus Punk. So I don't know what I would want to see more. Probably Moxley versus Punk. Okay. just because I don't think we've seen Moxley versus Punk, but we have seen Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. Granted, that was back in WWE at WrestleMania when we had the best in the world. It was Chris Jericho versus CM Punk to determine who truly was the best in the world. Mind you, that was actually a really great match. So we saw that match under the WWE banner. So I would rather see Moxley versus Punk because I don't think we've seen that match. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Correct me. Moxley versus Punk. Yeah, I think. And that would be amazing to see live at All Out. Keep you guys updated about that. So then it is announced. The trios titles have been revealed. And we're going to have a tournament. And the finals are going to be at All Out. I have a little bit more to say about this, but it plays into a backstage segment. So I'm just going to keep going for right now, you guys. We get a quick backstage segment with Dante Martin. And he basically talks about how he knows Sammy Guevara is going to have Ty Conti at ringside. So he says he's going to have Sky Blue by his side. That's the gist of this. Those trios titles look amazing. Yeah, they do. So then we get the FTW Championship match. It's Danhausen versus Ricky Starks. I knew this match was going to be short and it was probably going to be a squash match. And I was absolutely right. Ricky Starks squashed Danhausen very quickly. But we found out that as of today, Ricky Starks was the longest reigning FTW champion. The thing I really liked about this match was when Danhausen was mocking Ricky Starks, which I thought was so hilarious. And then Ricky Starks shows him how it's done. But again, I'm not surprised Ricky Starks won this. I was expecting him to win. So after the match, obviously, just like last week, Ricky Starks says that he wants another challenger. He goes on to say that Danhausen was very nice and very evil, but he was not absolute. So he wants another challenger. Let's see. If Mox gets the 1004 Hood Jericho, he's better watch out for that Moss converted 3-handled family gun. So I called this last week. Danhausen loses and Hook comes in and Hook wins the title. Yeah, I think everybody saw that coming because that's what I wanted. So then, of course, the next challenger, it turns out to be Hook. And he comes out in orange trunks. So that tells you what's going to happen. Like, Hook used to be a part of Team Taz. And so you could so Ricky Starks was obviously very surprised to see Hook out there. I don't think he was expecting Hook. And so Ricky Starks spears Hook, but that wasn't enough. So Hook hits the red rum to Starks and he wins by submission. And he fist bumps Starks to show that, I guess he respects Hook. So I was actually expecting this. And now Hook has won his first official title in AEW. But now, what does that mean? Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to have like an open challenge for Hook's FTW title? I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. And I don't know. It seems to me like they broke up Hookhausen, which sucks because I actually really dug Hookhausen Perry. But we have to wait and see. So pretty much after this, Ricky Starks cuts a promo, a very heartfelt promo. And I actually really love the promo. But the memorable thing about this was that as he was cutting the promo, Powerhouse Hobbs basically turns on Ricky Starks, attacking him. So this basically means Team Taz is finished. So what are we going to do? We're going to have Hobbs versus Starks. Is Hobbs going to blame Ricky Starks for them losing and not being able to win the tag titles? Like, I'm actually very intrigued by this feud. So I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. Like, why do you guys think Hobbs turned on Starks? You think he was the dead weight in the group? Hookhausen didn't happen. We're in the men. Hookhausen that didn't happen. The men. Okay, you want the neutralizer? I really should try to find a gif of this. There you go. Hookhausen didn't happen. Just look in the little light. So let's see. What else are you guys saying? I think Ricky will make a nice face. I've been a fan of his for a while. He reminds me of a young Rocky Maravilla. Oh, I can see that. All right. So the Acclaim, we get an Acclaim segment backstage, which I didn't see that coming. Hobbs turning onto Starks, that's leading to babyface Starks. Yeah, I don't think any of us saw that coming, honestly. I sure didn't. But I did see Hook challenging Ricky Starks. So the gist of this segment is that they roasted the Gun Club, and they said they're gonna roast him again this week, and they have to watch the music video to find out what type of match they'll be having. And he says everyone's gonna love this video. So I'm very curious to see what this music video is about, and I wonder what match the Acclaim is going to pick. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any suggestions or like thoughts as to what match they're gonna pick? I can't think of anything. So, and I'm actually pretty excited to see more interaction between the Acclaim and a Gun Club. All right, so then we get Dante Martin versus Sammy Guevara with Sky Blue by his at ringside. That does not equal ratings. It definitely doesn't. Hopefully a hardcore match. Maybe. Oh, that would actually be really interesting. Hardcore match. Okay. So, according to commentary, this is Sammy Guevara's first singles match since April. Now, I like how like Sammy Guevara does like this pose in the middle of the ring, and then Dante Martin copies him by doing the exact same thing. Now, my favorite spot in this match was when it looked like Dante Martin was about to leap. He leapfrogged and he landed on his feet, and that surprised the hell out of Sammy Guevara. And that caused him, it seemed to me like it caused him to leave, but Dante Martin stopped him. I'm not going to say that because in the future, I would like to get monetized, and I don't want to not get monetized because of saying that. But that's really funny. And then another thing that I liked was when Dante Martin did that Spanish fight to Sammy Guevara. Now, here's my thing. During the match, Ty Conti yells at Dante Martin, yet Sky Blue doesn't do anything. She's just there. She allows this to happen. You would have thought she would have made some type of effort to attack Ty Conti or to maybe to stop her from distracting Dante Martin. But no, she's just standing there watching this happen and watching this unfold, doesn't do anything. So then poor Dante gets hit with a cutter and a GTH, which allows Sammy Guevara to be victorious. So at the end of the match, Sammy tries to wants to attack Dante Martin, and now Sky Blue feels like doing something, and so she tries to go after Ty Conti. Then Anna Jay comes out, and they're just basically beating on Sky Blue. Now the confusing part for me was why Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, and Ruby came out, because I thought that feud was over. I thought that rivalry was over. I really don't want it to continue. I really did think it was over, and I don't see why it would continue for any reason. So I didn't really like that. I don't know what their plan is or what they were gonna do with that. Sky Blue should have gotten involved and just took out Ty, but she just exactly right. She just stood there and watched poor Dante Martin get distracted and didn't do anything. So they were saying, I really just didn't like that finish. I don't know how you guys feel, but I personally didn't like it because the feud between them should have ended already. But it is what it is, I suppose. Okay, so then backstage, we got Daniel Garcia. And he says that he hasn't heard the name Bryan Danielson in a couple of months and asks where the hell he's been. And he basically ends this by saying he's going to be the greatest technical sports entertainer, which I actually dug. That he said that. And now we get to the Jungle Boy segment. If you guys recall last week, Jungle Boy made his big return. So he comes out with not only Luchasaurus, who's still rocking the black attire, which kind of makes me wonder, did he fully realign himself with Jungle Boy? Or is he playing him? And he's also wearing Christian Cage's jacket. So he calls Christian Cage the biggest P word he's ever met in his entire life. And he cuts this incredible, oh my God, I actually really, really like this promo. So if I'm saying it word per word, forgive me, but it's just amazing. So I have to say it word per word, because I don't think I can convey it. I still think Luchasaurus is turned on Jungle Boy. I think that too. So Jungle Boy says that Christian talked all sorts of bull about his entire family. And as soon as he comes back, he tucks his tail and runs. And he says that just because he threw Christian Cage out of the Battle Royal a year ago, it shouldn't be a big deal. But then he stopped to think a little bit more. He says that Christian Cage was strapped for cash because his wife had just divorced his bitch ass. My jaw dropped when I heard that. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe Jungle Boy went there. But to be fair, Christian did insult his entire family. So Christian had this coming to him. He said, Jungle Boy goes on to say that Christian needed someone to protect him, and he found a monster who's his best friend. He says Christian's only goal is to hurt Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy says that he can take anything. And he said 3 years ago, he was standing in a dirt hole with his Uncle Dave watching as tears came down. And before he can finish, Christian Cage interrupts him and says that Luchasaurus is basically Jungle Boy's lapdog, and he made a big mistake realigning with Jungle Boy, and that he ran away because he was afraid of what he would do to Jungle Boy. And he said the next thing that Jungle Boy is going to carry is going to be a body bag. He's going to play on Jungle Boy's weakness. So this was a very good promo and segment of Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. They made me hype for their feud. Now, my only issue with this is that I really wish Luchasaurus would have stayed heel and continued that alignment with Christian Cage. I really love the fact that you had Christian pulling the strings, and I got kind of Kane vibes from Luchasaurus. Now, again, Luchasaurus did come out with black attire, so maybe he is playing Jungle Boy. Maybe when it's Jungle Boy versus Christian, Luchasaurus is going to turn on Jungle Boy. Maybe. Awesome promo. Jungle Boy spitting facts on Christian. Yeah, he definitely was. So again, that's the one thing that kind of bugged me about this is I really wanted Luchasaurus to stay heel. Why have him turn heel and then have him realign with Jungle Boy? Doesn't make sense unless he's going to turn on Jungle Boy down the road again. So we have to wait and see. Then we get a very interesting backstage segment with the Young Bucks. So they're talking about the Trios tournament, and I said, let me see. I still think he's a heel in disguise. Well, he is wearing black, so it would make sense. Okay. So, like I was saying, the Young Bucks are talking about the Trios tournament, and Hangman slowly approaches the Bucks. And I kind of get this vibe that maybe they're trying to reunite the Bucks and Hangman, but they're interrupted by the Dark Order, and they give him a gift apparently. And the Young Bucks just walk away. So I do have an update. This was posted earlier this month. Fightful Select reported that Kenny Omega, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, the Young Bucks versus FTR3 was being held off on as the Young Bucks have a major angle that has yet to come to fruition in the works. When Fightful Select poked around about what the angle could be, we were told that at least the rumor being referred to by Meltzer involved Kenny Omega. Fightful Select has learned that the tentative plans that certain staff were made aware of was that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were slated for a 6-man tag program for September's All Out pay-per-view. He says, and we have yet to confirm this with AEW officials, and anything could change, as is the nature of pro wrestling. So that, to me, tells me we find out later on in the night that the Undisputed Elite is returning next week. Say happy birthday to Hangman Adam Page. Yeah, happy birthday to Hangman. I wonder what the Dark Order gave him. But that report, coupled with the announcement of the trios titles, kind of tells me that we might get the Bucks. We might get the Bucks and Omega versus Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly in the finals at All Out for those trios tag titles. It makes perfect sense. Were hinting at it before Omega got injured. So it would make perfect sense for those two teams to be in the finals at All Out. Because, okay, I'm not saying that Hangman and the Bucks don't make sense, but with the Undisputed Elite reuniting next week, I think it makes even more sense for it to be Omega. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat or in the comment sections if you're watching this on replay. Alrighty. So then we get a 2-on-1 handicap match. It's Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese versus Swerve Strickland. So this match, I you had Nese and Strickland start off the match, which was expected. They gave Hangman a Mountain Dew, of course. Mountain Dew plug of the week. Ugh, why would you give someone a Mountain Dew? I still don't like Mountain Dew. And of course, when it was Smart Mark's turn to enter the match, he refused. He refused to enter this match. But I took a jumping reverse kick to the back of Smart Mark's head, and he was out. And Swerve Strickland won this match. But then it cuts to the back, and you see Keith Lee, who got attacked by, you see Josh Wood standing over Keith Lee. So I'm assuming he attacked him backstage. We're still waiting for you to try a Mountain Dew. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see if I get a Mountain Dew. So then we get the only women's match of the night. It's the AEW World Women's Title match. It's Thunder Rosa versus Miyu Yamashita. So I was actually really impressed by Miyu. I don't know much about her, as I don't watch Japanese. I don't watch Joshi wrestling, so I don't know much about her. And I actually haven't heard of her until they mentioned that she beat Thunder Rosa. That match sucked. Tony Nese needs to get away from Sterling because Sterling is just cringe. But I was extremely impressed by Miyu. And of course, I wasn't expecting Thunder Rosa to lose this match. So Thunder Rosa did win. And of course, a sign of respect for both women at the end of the match. And now we got a couple of announcements. Like I said earlier, Undisputed Elite is back next Wednesday. We got the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy versus the in-ring debut of Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Satan Singh. Very good match it was. Oh, definitely. Then we got John Moxley versus Chris Jericho in 2 weeks at Quick at the Lake. And not only that, for our Canadian friends, AEW announcing that they're going to be in Toronto, Canada, October 12th and 13th. So they're making their Canada debut in October. So I'm so excited. I honestly cannot wait for that. I'm sure. Apparently, she's from the same promotion Mati Ito is from. Tokyo Joshi Pro. She's definitely had a good showing. Yeah, she did, definitely. So I'm sure that show is going to be heavily centered around all the Canadian wrestlers. And I am really excited at the prospect of seeing what they're going to bring to Canada. So really, really excited for our fellow Canadian friends. And like I said, our main event was Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia, which I talked about at the beginning, but I'm just going to recap what I said. So that crowd from Canada is going to be on fire. Oh, definitely. I definitely do think they're going to be on fire. So Bryan Danielson hasn't wrestled a match since the Anarchy in the Arena match where he suffered a concussion. And at San Diego Comic-Con this past Saturday, Bryan Danielson did announce he was going to make his in-ring return. And before I continue, though, I would actually not mind returning to San Diego Comic-Con if AEW is going to keep having a presence at San Diego Comic-Con. I went there once in 2017, and I hated it because it was so crowded, nowhere to sit. But I did meet Jason David Frank. For those of you who don't know, Jason David Frank played Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger, later White Ranger. Then if you saw past Mighty Morphin, he played Red Zero, Red Turbo, and Black Dino Thunder in Power Rangers. So just the Power Rangers mentioned there. But this was an incredible main event. Like, Bryan Danielson went at it with Daniel Garcia. He sent him crashing to the steel post, gave him an elbow strike. But Garcia was able to turn things around. Like, he ripped that padding off the floor, exposing the concrete. And he gave Bryan a DDT. Let's see. NYCC is my SDCC. It's fun and awesome. I've actually never been to NYCC. I really want to go, especially because I know Power Rangers sometimes is there. I think in 2019, the Power Rangers panel was on at the exact same time as the AEW panel. So that would be a really hard decision to me. Power Rangers or pro wrestling? I really hope I don't have to choose. So I don't know if Bryan Danielson was actually got hurt or he's just really good at selling. But after that missile dropkick, he seemed to land it on his head and he wasn't okay. It looked to me like he was kind of out of it. So again, I don't know if he got hurt or if he was just that good at selling. I really hope he's. Well, I was there in 2019 and saw the AEW stage while walking around, but no Power Rangers, really. So I haven't heard anything, but I'm gonna try to find out. And hopefully Bryan didn't get hurt. He looked like he was grabbing his head, so I really hope he's okay. Garcia biting Bryan's forehead though, and Bryan got busted open during this. Now, the one thing that I really liked about the finish for this, okay, so before actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So before the finish, Bryan tried to get back into the ring, and someone was trying to grab Bryan and trying to stop him from pinning Daniel Garcia. Turned out to be Jake Hager. So, but this distraction allowed Daniel Garcia to put Bryan in the sharpshooter. And the one thing I really, really liked about this was not only that Daniel Garcia beat Bryan Danielson, didn't have Bryan tap out. He passed out, which I think says a lot. Everybody loves biting foreheads. That is true. A lot of wrestlers bite other wrestlers' foreheads. And I think that was the right call. I think that if you were going to have Garcia beat Bryan, I don't think pin would have been a good idea. And I don't think having Bryan tap out was a good idea. I think this was the right call. Having Bryan pass out to the sharpshooter. I mean, he was busted open during this match. So it made perfect sense that he would tap out. I mean, it's a forehead finish. It's a forehead finish. I mean, yeah. It made perfect sense. Sorry, I got a little confused. It made perfect sense that he would pass out instead of tap out. So, yeah, Daniel Garcia won, and I was pleasantly surprised by this. I was not expecting this at all. I thought because this was Bryan Danielson's big return, Bryan Danielson would win, but no, I was wrong. So, where do we go from here? He's got a victory over Bryan Danielson. That says a lot, honestly. Great match. So, but with that being said, that pretty much, let's see, AEW superstars say foreheads are part of a balanced breakfast. Probably. All right. So overall, I thought tonight was a very solid show. I really did like. The one thing I disliked was what happened after the Dante Martin Sammy Guevara match. I really did not like that. I don't know why it happened. I don't know what they're going with that. And I also kind of disliked that there was only one women's match on this show, and no, we didn't even get a backstage segment with any other women. And the whole Ty Conti, Sky Blue, Anna Jay, maybe that I don't count that because that really wasn't a match. But I mean, if you count it, then yeah, I guess we did get another segment involving the women, but I don't count it. So I'm going to have to give this AEW Dynamite an 8 out of 10 just for those reasons alone. But overall, a solid show. A really, really solid show. I can't help but to wonder if Tony Khan, because now that Triple H is in charge of creative in WWE, if this was Tony Khan trying to send a message to Triple H, because he really stacked this show. I mean, this show was amazing, except for those two things that I mentioned. Michael also giving it 8 out of 10. Bryan versus Hager. I actually think that's going to be a really good match. And a 9 out of 10 for me. Okay, I'm curious to see why you give it a 9 out of 10. I would like to hear your reasoning. I think Tony Khan is now worried. Could be. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But I just feel like the landscape of pro wrestling is going to change. Just imagine if we get a full week of good wrestling. I think that would be great for everybody. I would actually enjoy reviewing Raw and SmackDown if we get good wrestling from them. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. It means the world to me that you guys still watch my reviews. And please don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. Let me see. Is the new mic here to stay on the channel? Yeah, definitely. I'm actually gonna get a Rode mic. So I think that might be a little bit better than this one. But I actually really like this little setup here. I think I look more like a podcaster, a legit podcaster. The action was overall good, and things were the action was overall good, and there were things you didn't expect to happen. But yeah, so like I was saying, help me out. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or I release a new video. And if I don't see you guys tomorrow after Impact, I definitely will see you guys on Friday after AEW Rampage. Legit podcast. It's Liz moving up in it. Thank you. And so you guys have a great night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And if I don't, then I'll see you guys Friday. Bye.